Hello and welcome to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keith in the studios of our flagship stations, Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. In addition today, as always, we're also on 88.1 WBFH, The Biff, our flagship television station, as well as others such as City Cable 15 of Southfield and Birmingham area municipal access in the Birmingham Bloomfield area, are on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99. We're also in other local areas here in Oakland County on their community television stations on places such as Orion Neighborhood Television, or ONTV, in Lake Orion, as well as on the media network of Waterford on Channel 10 in Waterford. You can also find us online on our website, civiccentertv.com. Just click on the Watch Live link at the top of our homepage on your computer web browser, or in the left margin on the drop-down menu on your cell phone web browser as well. And there you'll be able to watch us live during our show from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, Monday through Friday, as well as all of our regular programming, including municipal meetings such as tonight's sure-to-be thrilling West Bloomfield Township Zoning Board of Appeals meeting on our website as well, civiccentertv.com. Click on Watch Live or type in civiccentertv.com/watch-live if you're feeling fearless today and decide to do it that way. You can also find us online on our social media on Facebook, facebook.com/civiccentertv15 and facebook.com/lakesfm. This is where we're at every single day for the Megacast. And while you're over there, go ahead and give us a like and keep up with all the rest of our programming throughout the week and all of our other announcements on programming and other things that we're doing here at Civic Center TV. You can also find us online on My Michigan TV or MyMy. Go to mymytv.org.com, mymytv.com, to learn more about My Michigan TV. Now, how do you spell MyMy? Because it's not M-Y-M-M-Y, it's MYMITV.com. My as in possessive my, M-I or my as in the initials for Michigan, TV as in, of course, television.com. MyMyTV.com, where you can subscribe for free to Michigan's very own streaming network that has content from across the state of Michigan made by creators right here in Michigan, all about the Great Lakes State. Find out more about where you can also download the MyMyTV app on places like the iOS App Store and the Android App Store, as well as many smart TV apps as well, including Apple TV, including Roku TV, and more. Again, that's mymytv.com. And if you can't remember all of those different websites, all those different channels, all those different places to watch the Megacast and these partners of ours, you have no fear. You can go to our website at civiccentertv.com/Megacast or click on our Megacast link. And there we have information about all of our partnering television, radio, and web outlets, including links to their website, so you can find out what they do throughout the other 22 hours of the day, Monday through Friday, as well as the 48 hours of the weekend from their outlets as well, as they do a lot of other varied programs throughout the week that are excellent, just as much as they are broadcasting our show live from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, Monday through Friday. civiccentertv.com/Megacast, where you can also find all of our shows, our full episodes, and each and every one of our interviews from today's show, yesterday's show, 4 weeks ago's shows, and a year ago's shows and beyond on our website as well. That is civiccentertv.com/Megacast. Right next door to that, arguably the most important page on the entire internet, is civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. There we have important links to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the State of Michigan's Health and Human Services Department, as well as the Oakland County Health Division's websites, all related to COVID-19. So you don't have to go digging through all these different websites that have a whole lot of information about anything and everything health-related. You can go directly to these websites, to their COVID-19 pages, and learn more about how COVID-19 is spreading in your town, in your county, in your state, how COVID-19 vaccines are being distributed, where they're being distributed, where you can get booster shots if you're eligible for them at this moment in time. And you can also learn more about precautionary measures and the efficacy of those measures. All of this can be learned from people who are experts in these fields, in epidemiology and virology, who are medical doctors, who are nurses on the front lines, people who have researched this information, because you're probably not an expert in virology or in epidemiology or in the spread of viruses or in pandemics or in how COVID-19 affects the human body. You probably haven't done a whole lot of that research and have that expertise from years of training and years of schooling like these experts do. So if you're doing your quote-unquote research, you want to start with their research because they are the true experts here. They know what they're talking about. They know what they're researching, and they can lead you to the information that you need to know in order to make the most informed decision. Again, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. That is also where we feature many of the top headlines from each and every day before our live show, and we post them on our website from many great local journalists in many different areas of Michigan, especially here in southeastern Michigan. And today's top story regarding COVID-19 cases in the state of Michigan. This is from the Detroit News. Michigan added 8,496 cases and 46 deaths from COVID-19 on Monday, which of course includes totals from Saturday and Sunday. The latest figures from the State Department of Health and Human Services pushed the overall totals to 1,090,021 confirmed cases and 21,609 deaths since the virus was first detected in the state in March of 2020. The state averaged 2,832 cases per day over the 3-day period. Of the latest deaths reported, 15 were identified during a vital records review, state officials noted. Michigan's COVID-19 infections numbers have been trending upward for more than 13 weeks amid concerns of the over the highly contagious Delta variant. The state last week added 26,105 cases and 250 deaths. That's up from the week prior when Michigan logged 24,791 additional cases and 237 deaths from COVID-19. For reference, in mid-September, the state added 18,313 cases with 159 deaths from the virus in a week. The weekly record of 50,892 cases was set on November 15th through 21st of last year. The second highest weekly total was a week later, with 47,316 during the week of November 22nd through 28th of last year. State officials set a goal of reaching 70% and hosted a lottery initiative to give those who received their vaccinations the chance to win cash prizes. In total, about 58.8% of Michigan residents 12 and older were fully vaccinated as of October 16th. The state health department estimates that less than 1% of vaccinated people in the Great Lakes state are contracting the virus. Michigan remains at a high transmission rate. The case rate here has been increasing for 3.5 months. As of last week, only 3 states have reported more COVID cases than Michigan over a 7-day span based on state data. Statewide positivity last week climbed from 11.2% from 10.3% the week prior, according to data from October 12th. The proportion of kids sick with COVID-19 in the state is increasing. In Michigan, over 50% of children hospitalized have no reported underlying conditions from COVID-19. Higher community transmission in Michigan is followed by a higher incidence of multisystem inflammatory syndrome in children, or MIS-C, a condition in children where multiple organ systems have been inflamed or become dysfunctional. There are 169 cases of that in the state. The majority, or 70.2%, are in the ICU, and there have been 5 deaths. Michigan health officials last Monday reported 83 new outbreaks of COVID among K-12 schools and universities, with 2 colleges reporting outbreaks. About 9.3% of hospital beds are filled with COVID-19 patients in the state, up from 8% the week prior. The majority of patients hospitalized from the virus are unvaccinated, the state health department has said. As of September 27th, Michigan has more than 17,583 confirmed cases of COVID-19 variants, the majority, or 13,667 cases, being the B117 or Alpha variant. The Delta variant, being B1.617.2, is on the rise in Michigan with more than 700 new cases last week. There are a total of 3,492 known cases in the state. The virus is blamed for more than 716,000 deaths and 45.3 million confirmed infections in the United States. That entire article from the Detroit News on our website, civiccentertv.com. coronavirus. Well, the former chief medical executive of the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Dr. Jonae Caldoun, has a new gig. This is also from the Detroit News. Dr. Caldoun, who led Michigan through the tumultuous first year of the pandemic, has been named Vice President and Chief Health Equity Officer at CVS Health, owner of one of the country's largest pharmacy chains. Caldoun announced on September 24th that she was leaving her job as Chief Medical Executive for the state of Michigan and Chief Deputy Director for Health in the Department of Health and Human Services, where she was responsible for public health and aging programs, Medicaid, and behavioral health. Caldoun has been a visible leader of Michigan's COVID-19 response and has been lauded for Michigan's early identification of disparities in COVID-19 outcomes, as well as developing strategies to address them. She was named this year as a member of President Joe Biden's COVID-19 Health Equity Task Force as well. Dr. Natasha Bagdasarian began as serving as Chief Medical Executive, superseding Caldoun on October 1st. Caldoun previously told the Detroit News that she had accepted a new position to pursue, quote, an opportunity outside of state government. At CVS Health, which also owns health insurance company Aetna, Caldoun will lead the strategy to advance health equity for patients, members, providers, customers, and communities served across all lines of the CVS Health business, the press release said. She will also report to Dr. Caillou Rhee, Senior Vice President and Aetna's Chief Medical Officer. Quote, as a healthcare innovation company committed to health equity and breaking down barriers that perpetuate health care disparities, Dr. Caldoun joins our team as Chief Health Equity Officer at a critically important time, and close quote, Dr. Rhee said in a statement on Monday. Continuing on, Dr. Rhee said, quote, her expertise in creating solutions to help improve health outcomes will help us continue addressing health inequities for customers and communities that we serve, and closed quote. Caldoun previously was health officer and public health director for the Detroit Health Department and chief medical officer of the Baltimore City Health Department. Caldoun obtained her undergraduate degree from the University of Michigan, a medical degree from the University of Pennsylvania, master's in public health from George Washington University, and completed her residency in emergency medicine at SUNY Downstate Medical Center and Kings County Hospital in Brooklyn, New York. She also practices emergency medicine part-time at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit. So congratulations to Dr. Caldoun, as we are now fully aware of her next step after she left her position at the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services late in September. Finally, on our website, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, Bridge, Michigan has a great article about concerns that business leaders have regarding the potential vaccine mandates being handed down by the President of the United States, Joe Biden, and his administration. Those have not been fully put into effect yet, but those concerns very much there. Again, this is from Bridge, Michigan, in our final article of the day. A coalition of Michigan business leaders is asking the Biden administration to reconsider a COVID-19 vaccine mandate for large businesses that was announced in early September. With details of the mandate still pending 6 weeks later, the business group, led by the Michigan Chamber of Commerce, said Monday that its concerns are mounting over rules that are expected to affect about 2 million Michigan workers who work at companies with 100 or more employees. Business leaders say they expected the mandate's detailed rules to be announced by November 1st, with OSHA submitting them on October 12th to the Federal Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs, which will consider them on an emergency temporary basis. Because of that, they're expecting a shorter review process. The Michigan Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or MIOSHA, will then have 30 days to determine how it will execute those rules. Violations, Biden said, could result in fines. The stakes are high for businesses, says Rich Studley, president and CEO of the Michigan Chamber. However, he said the process for implementing the mandate has not been transparent, leaving him concerned that businesses' concerns specific to the state will go unaddressed even as the economy continues to struggle for balance. Quote, employees and employers across the country and our state have not had the traditional opportunities to provide input on details and specifics, in close quotes, Studley said during a press briefing on Zoom. Instead, Studley predicted Michigan's private employers of 100 or more workers will face a, quote, one-size-fits-all, top-down, in closed quote, approach to occupational safety and health, something that he said will limit employer and employee rights and potentially harm Michigan's economy. A letter sent last month by 24 Republican governors to President Biden threatened legal action against his administration if he did not cancel the mandate. So far, Biden has given no indication such objections will change his plan. Business sentiment is far from uniform in regards to these mandates. Indeed, a CNBC national survey this month found that 80% of CFOs, quote-unquote, totally support the mandate. Some had been considering a mandate when Biden stepped in to say the federal government would require it for large employers. Others called the move, quote-unquote, critical to defeating the pandemic. At the same time, Michigan's regulatory agency could enact more stringent rules than those coming from OSHA, says Rich Studley of the Michigan Chamber of Commerce. Quote, many of our members are concerned that Michigan might go far beyond what is required at the federal level, and close quote. Other participating chambers underscored that they hope Biden will hit the pause button on the federal vaccine mandate. Quote, just slow down, end closed quote, said Nikki Devitt, president of the Petoskey Area Chamber of Commerce. She continued on, listen to us before forcing a federal mandate on our members. We not only want our communities safe from COVID, we want our businesses to get every opportunity that they can for a full economic recovery, end closed quote. According to a survey released in September by the Detroit Regional Chamber, 52% of statewide voters opposed allowing businesses to require proof of vaccination for employees and customers, while 44% support it. The survey did not ask about a government-imposed mandate. Still, it indicates Michigan residents continue to be split over how the government should address the pandemic, a situation also playing out in protests over mask mandates in schools. At the same time, Michigan's labor force has declined by more than 200,000 workers since the onset of the pandemic, creating pressure for businesses to hire and refill jobs. That extensive article from Bridge, Michigan, on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast. Click on the headline itself, and it will take you to that entire article. Highly encourage you to read that, as it addresses many of the concerns of businesses regarding the potential for a federal vaccine mandate that is still under discussion at the federal level that would affect businesses with 100 or more employees here in the state of Michigan, as well as many of those opinions of those that are for it as well. So you can get a little bit of a mix of opinions and of information and get the full scope from great journalists over there at Bridge, Michigan. You can find all those articles each and every day on our website, as well as critical information about COVID-19 from expert resources at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, as well as the Oakland County Health Division. Again, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. We have an exciting show ahead for you today, a packed show coming up in just a few minutes at 10:20. The Macomb County Prosecutor, Pete Lucido, will join me on the show at 10:40. I'll be joined by Chris Barnett. He is the Supervisor of Orion Township. At 11 o'clock, I will be joined by Kristine Stevens, the Drama Director at West Bloomfield High School, and as well as student cast members of Radium Girls, which is a performance that they will be having November 11th, 12th, and 13th at West Bloomfield High School. At 11:20, Dr. Tobias Walbert and his glioblastoma patient, Eric Goldstein, will join me to talk about that very common form of a brain tumor and ways that is being treated in Eric and in other patients, as well as what risk factors may put you at greater risk for developing a glioblastoma. And then we'll cap off the show at 11:40 with Bree Bettis, the founder of the Pink List. That is all coming up next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Parents do a lot of worrying. Get your kids caught up on childhood vaccines to protect them from these 14 preventable diseases, and you'll have 14 fewer things to worry about. Vaccines are safe and effective and save lives. So let's get caught up on vaccines and worry about something else. Get the facts at ivaccinate.org.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Most of the pollution that goes into our rivers is carried by rainwater that flows off of roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
The leaves and bark of a single tree can retain a surprising amount of rainwater. Depending on its size and species, it could be 100 gallons or more.
It is estimated that an urban forest can reduce annual runoff by up to 7%.
Here's one thing that we know can help keep our water clean.
Plant a tree.
Plant a tree.
Plant a tree.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
One of the things you can look for in your friends is a change in behavior.
These can be big changes, they can be small changes in mood, physical appearance.
They may be sleeping less or sleeping more, drinking more, or their eating patterns may be different.
One big change that can be pretty obvious is change in motivation. Do they no longer want to play basketball? Do they no longer want to play video games?
Now that we're spending more time online and in virtual settings, it's really important to pay attention to the language that your friend is using and the words they're using to communicate.
So when we text our friends, are they taking longer amounts of time to respond? Are they not responding at all? You don't have to be an expert to try to recognize these signs. The second that you feel it in your gut and that you're concerned, that's the second to have the conversation and open the door to what might be going on.
Whatever gets you talking.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keith alongside Calvin Brown in the studios of our flagship stations located in West Bloomfield Township, although we're broadcasting all throughout the state of Michigan on a number of different community television and radio stations, as well as online on our website, civiccentertv.com, as well as on My Michigan TV, a free streaming service provided to the people of Michigan with content from creators all across the state of Michigan, all about the Great Lakes State. To begin today's show, we're pleased to be joined now by Pete Lucido. He is the Macomb County Prosecutor, joining us now on the Megacast. Prosecutor, thanks for being with us today.
Tyler, and good morning to listeners.
Good morning to you as well. So some concerning things happening in our schools as of late, some new social media trends, particularly on TikTok, trends such as the devious licks trend, which had been really coming into the limelight late last month, where kids were stealing affects from the school or damaging property of the schools while in the school to try to get trending on the social media. And we also have some additional new concerns now and new trends, particularly one where this month the challenge is to slap a teacher. This is something that's being particularly focused on in your department up there at the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office. How is that being addressed, and just how seriously does the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office take these offenses among children?
Well, first of all, they call it the Tik Tok challenges, and I don't know who came up with it, but it's wrong, and it's against the law if you're going to do something that is illegal. So, number one, we have to look at our school district. We have a very large school district here in Macomb County. Between the ISD and the rest of them, we're the largest school district other than Detroit. And as a result, we've got to be very vigilant. We've told the teachers we stand shoulder to shoulder, toe to toe with them. We will not allow this to happen. We told the school administrators that it is a zero tolerance policy in the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office as it relates to destruction of private property, because this is public property, our schools. Our public schools are public property, and it takes away from all taxpayers and families. And it shouldn't be that way. We should be using it in the classroom to educate and to grow the minds of the individuals instead of showing that criminal activity is acceptable. So what we've decided to do is we put out a press release. We put out a press in my advisory showing that we have a zero tolerance policy when it comes to crime. And I know that the schools have their own internal policies as it relates to the student handbook. Parents, be vigilant to explain to your child, and these are children because they're under the age of 18 in these high schools. When they turn 18, then they become an adult now in the eyes of the law, because raise the age just was passed into law, and it started October 1st. So if you're 18, you're charged as an adult. It's now 17, you're charged as a juvenile. However, if the crime is heinous enough, we're going to wave you up and try as an adult. We're giving you notice out there, everybody. You commit the crime of the Tik Tok challenge and slap a teacher, hit them in the head, hit them anywhere on their body. It's assault. It could rise to aggravated assault. It could rise to something otherwise if you have something considered a weapon in your hand. You destroy any school property, be on the lookout, because we're coming for you and we'll prosecute you. The student handbook can say you can be expelled. And remember one thing, the students that are listening, the parents, they can forfeit their right to go to a university and a community college because of the actions that were taken in their high school. They could also forfeit the possibility of getting student loans and aid necessary to facilitate their finances. Don't do it, is my statement. Don't do it.
We're joined by Macomb County Prosecutor Peter Lucido with us on the Megacast, particularly addressing at this moment in time TikTok challenges such as the TikTok challenge and devious licks. In one scenario, both are severe, but one is much more severe than the other. In the case of devious licks, it is destruction of property, and as you said, it is destruction of public property. It's entirely unnecessary. It's not worth it. They're doing it for attention of people that, frankly, don't care about their best interests anyway. And then in the case of the latest TikTok challenge, where they're slapping a teacher, that is assault. It is a very serious crime, and it is something that's going to be taken incredibly serious, as you said, a zero-tolerance policy in Macomb County. In terms of the parents, as they're having these conversations, or they're preparing themselves to have these conversations with their kids, in the case of kids that are under 18, that are minors, how liable are parents in these situations for the damage to the public property in the school, but also, even on top of that, potentially liable for the actions of their children in regards to assaulting their teachers with these challenges?
I can tell you this, the Lucido family has been in the insurance industry for 4 generations. Any intentional act taken by a minor and or an adult is not going to be taken care of by your insurance. There's no insurance that says you can go out and commit a crime and we'll pay for it. And as a result, the parents are absolutely liable for the actions of their children up till their age 18. And at that time, if the child is in high school, 15, 16, 13, 17, the parents are going to be brought into this and have to make restitution. Why? It's their child. There's assume responsibility when you have a child. So that's a great question, Tyler. I appreciate that, because parents think that they can just walk away and say, hey, it's your problem now. Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But at the end of the day, parents are going to be brought into this. And I can appreciate a school that says in our handbook, we do not stand for any assaultive behavior both ways. 1, against the child or the student. 2 is against the teacher. That's room for a suspension or expulsion, depending on what the hearing brings. The last thing is, you destroy our property in our school, we don't need you in our school. We'd like people to be respectful and to be diligent on those that are doing that kind of behavior. Make sure you tell them, knock it off.
It's like any other behavior. You need to weigh the risk of whether or not it is worthwhile to seek that attention from people that you don't know, that frankly, more or less don't care about you anyway, or to do the right thing and simply not commit these acts for that attention, because it isn't worth it. And on top of that, it's wrong. And something interesting that you did say regarding your zero tolerance policy that makes you think about, well, in some cases you have kids who have expressed repeated problem behaviors in their school. Obviously, that's going to be taken extremely seriously by their school district, and that's going to make their decisions at the district level regarding suspension, regarding expulsion, a lot easier. But in the cases of these particular challenges with the damage of property, and certainly with the assault, you could be the greatest performing kid and have the cleanest record possible, but if you slap your teacher, if you're destroying a bunch of property in your school for a TikTok challenge, that's not going to be something that helps you shoulder the burden of ultimately the crimes that you're committing, especially in Macomb County, where it's being taken this seriously.
And I'll tell you, Tyler, the parents ought to be aware, or at least be on the lookout for this. Anytime you see a TikTok challenge, the student is putting themselves in a position that they're going to be caught on camera from another student, which is for the cell phones and video. They're going to want to challenge themselves to get it on tape. They're committing the act of showing the police that I did it, okay? And the last thing is this. Every school I've been in has some type of monitoring devices up and down the hallways, in the classrooms at some point. Be aware that you're going to be caught on video. We have our first warrant getting signed right now for the same thing, that TikTok challenge, destruction of property. It's caught on the camera at the school. So the student didn't say I didn't do it, because it's all on video. Henceforth, somebody better be wary of doing something like this, because they could wreck their entire future by just one action of not thinking.
And it's also irresponsible, too, to consider this as a kid, and certainly as a parent, as a situation where, they're not going to take this all too seriously in investigating this or in prosecuting this because I'm just a kid. I don't know any better. But there you are in that video. You're not only showing that you've committed this act, you're not only showing yourself in action committing a crime, you're also showing intent and reckless intent in many cases here, especially with the assault and in certain destruction of property. And you're showing right there on camera, hard evidence, undisputable, that you simply don't care. That's going to be looked at incredibly seriously by a prosecutor and by a judge and or a jury as well, correct?
That information comes in, a judge, a jury, probation department, school administrators, disciplinary actions that are taken. It's all discoverable and it's all actionable, and everybody's going to look at that. You have no defense to that because it shows you doing an action that was unprovoked. Unprovoked means this: you go up and slap a teacher, you start spray painting on a wall, you break property that belongs to the public. Public should hold you and will hold you. In our office, in the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office, under the direction and leadership of Prosecutor Lucido, we're not going to stand for it. Zero tolerance. Prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law, make them pay, because the public doesn't deserve this type of treatment, and neither do those people that are supposed to be educators. They're in a classroom to educate. They're not in there to get slapped in the back of the head or, beat up. That's not what they're there for. In fact, I don't call that just disrespectful. I call it downright criminal.
We're joined by Pete Lucido. He is the Macomb County Prosecutor, joining us on the Megacast today, and transitioning from the Tik Tok challenges to another effort by your office. Your office recently unveiled a first in the state kind of appeals process for victims of crimes. In particular, this would give victims and their families a chance to appeal decisions made by your office when you're investigating a crime and ultimately decide not to pursue charges or to pursue charges that the families of the victims or the victims themselves believe are not just or are not proper. They can appeal this. How does that system work? And ultimately, what was the decision behind enacting this program in your office?
So, Tyler, I appreciate that question, and I hope that all prosecutors' offices follow suit on this, and it goes like this. As a former probation officer in Oakland County, as a former public defender in Wayne County, as a 30-year veteran as a criminal defense lawyer, as a lawmaker, both as a state representative and a senator, and now the Macomb County prosecutor, Peter Lucido looked at every right an individual has to go ahead and appeal a conviction or a charge that was brought. In regards to a prosecutor, you are presented by the investigation of police agencies. So in Macomb County, we have 27 police agencies, including the Macomb County Sheriff. They bring their body cams, they bring their in-car video, they bring doorbell cams, they bring written statements by witnesses. They have all the evidence brought up, and they're asking for a warrant to be signed as to these charges that they believe should be charged. They, the police. The prosecutor's office is an independent body from investigation. We do limited investigation. What we do is look at the evidence and see whether the elements of the crimes can be made as to what the officer is asking us to bring as far as charges. We then say no or yes, or we can make these other charges. And if we don't charge, the officers have a right, because they are representing victims. They're out there investigating for victims, to go to our appellate division. Our appellate division is a firewall between the warrant division and the appellate division for warrant, with a person in appeals and two that are seasoned trial attorneys, to see if the warrant division got it right. If the warrant division didn't get it right, they can issue, by way of this appeal, the warrant and have the police proceed. What recourse, and I ask the question to your listeners, what recourse do the police have if we don't issue the warrant? They got to go back to the victim and say, prosecutor's office isn't bringing charges because they don't believe they can make the elements of the crime. And this happens a lot. It's not a little bit. But why does a defendant have every right after a conviction to go appeal their conviction? Why does a defendant have a right to hold a probable cause hearing to see if there was enough probable cause for that warrant to issue as charged? I believe police officers, and I stand firmly with them, that if you don't like the decision of the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office, then bring it to the appellate division of the warrants on behalf of your victims that are out there. And let's see if we got it right in the first case. But right now, we've had a half a dozen or dozen, maybe more, maybe 20 of them, and we've had a couple overturned because prosecutors have different minds and they think they can make the charge. And therefore, I think it's a great idea because now you have another set of eyes looking at it to see whether or not those charges can be brought, whether those elements can be made, and whether or not we did it right.
Yeah, and the point that I love in that statement that you just made in this regard is that defendants who are being accused of these crimes, who are in some cases convicted of these crimes or in other cases acquitted, they have the right to appeal the decision of the courts to appeal their cases after the fact and maybe have those overturned. But in the cases of those who are victims of these crimes, whether they believe they've been a victim of the crime or they are, and there's some sort of a wrongful decision or incorrect decision that's made somewhere in the process, they really don't have a whole lot of those options to say, we would like to get a second set of eyes on this. And in this case, and you did say that directly to Fox 2, where you were quoted saying you should have the right to a second set of eyes, or in this case, multiple sets of eyes, reviewing to see if what you brought is the real deal, and closed quote. That's important because in these cases, there are human elements to it. People do make mistakes. People do miss things, or in some cases, one person's interpretation is different from the other. And it's important that everybody has their say properly in the matter and that ultimately the right decision is made.
You know, it's like test taking. Some see the issues, all of them. Some see only a portion of the issues. Mm-hmm. I believe that in the criminal justice system, nothing's perfect. Absolutely nothing's perfect. We get it wrong. But we're going to win them fairly. We're going to lose them squarely. We're going to win them fairly, but we'll lose them squarely if we lose them. And the other thing is, I believe that a system that has this appeal right reduces the burden on the officers that investigated it and the victims that want that second chance of having somebody look at it to give them healing and closure as to what happened to them. But if I can't have a defendant where the elements of the crimes can be made, I'm going to put the victim through additional victimizing by not being able to make the case and put him through a lengthy trial. And that's just outright wrong. So if the defense has the same benefits and protection of the law, so should the victims.
We're joined by Pete Lucido. He is the Macomb County Prosecutor joining us today on the Megacast. And it's all about the continued effort throughout the justice system and at all angles to provide that balance, to balance those scales, as is the symbol of the justice system for everybody involved, whether it be defendants, whether it be those that are the victims of crimes or those who are accused of crimes. Everybody should have an equal chance to have their case heard. They have to plead their case and to say their piece and to make sure that they're being done right by all elements of the law. Prosecutor, we appreciate your time with us today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Tyler. Have a great afternoon. Enjoy your weekend that I hear is going to be a cold one, so put a coat on.
Yes, you as well. Thank you very much. Peter Lucido, he is the Macomb County Prosecutor who has been with us today on the Megacast. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we've had another set of heavy rainfall in the local area, and that has affected many people in places such as Orion Township, where they have declared a state of emergency as a result of flooding that came from those rainstorms. We will be speaking with the Orion Township Supervisor, Barnett, next. After this quick break, you're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Today, it is easier than ever to join Michigan's Organ Donor Registry and help build a bridge of hope for organ, tissue, and eye donation. Just one person can potentially save or help improve the lives of up to 75 people. By joining, your legacy could be the gift of life. Sign up today at michigan.gov/SOS or at any of the more than 145 Secretary of State self-service stations located across Michigan. Be part of Michigan's Bridge of Hope. by adding your name to the organ donor registry.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources, call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
How does marijuana affect the teen brain?
Our brains are still developing into our 20s.
With regular use, marijuana can affect teen brain development.
It can affect our brain's circuitry and blood flow and impair thinking, learning, and memory function,
which could hold us back from reaching our potential.
Don't let marijuana mess with your brain.
Get the facts at michigan.gov/drug-free.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council,
we work together to protect water resources for everyone.
Most of the pollution entering our rivers is carried by rainwater that runs off roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
A rain garden helps catch stormwater runoff.
Rain gardens and their plants help dirty runoff soak into the ground.
You can do your part to help keep our water clean.
Learn about rain gardens and native plants.
So consider a rain garden in your home landscaping.
Catch the runoff with a rain garden.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
I couldn't breathe at all. There was lots of talk about putting me on a ventilator. I thought I was gonna die. I was 39 weeks pregnant and had a scheduled C-section. During that time, I got COVID and was hospitalized for a month. I had a blood clot in my lungs. It caused me to go into right-sided heart failure. I was really scared. I kept texting my husband and my mom, telling them how scared I was, and I was worried that he was gonna grow up without a mom. And then I was worried if, when I did get home, that he wouldn't know who I was. You know, being 27 and a mom and a wife and having that all almost taken away from me. It's scary, and if a vaccine can prevent that from happening, why not? Get your vaccine. I don't want this to happen to anybody else.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keith alongside our studio producer and board operator Calvin Brown in our studios in West Bloomfield Township, although we're broadcasting all throughout Oakland County and across the state of Michigan on a number of different outlets, including Orion Neighborhood Television out there in Lake Orion and in Orion Township. And we're pleased to be joined now by the Supervisor of Orion Township, Chris Barnett, joining us now on the Megacast. Supervisor, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Good morning to you as well. So again, recently, about 10 days ago, a little bit over 10 days ago, Orion Township was hit by those rainstorms that came in, not last week Friday, but the week before, and was hit with heavy amounts of rain, estimated about 6 to 8 inches of rain, causing flooding throughout the township, and your office to then declare a state of emergency in Orion Township. We are now several days past the onset of that incident. But how are things coming along in Orion Township in terms of dealing with the flooding and mitigating the ultimate results of that incident?
Yeah. Again, thanks for having me. And I've been in this role for 9 years, since 2012, and never really dealt with anything like this. The first time I've declared a state of emergency, so that was new for me as well. And it was just a very strange event. It was a Friday afternoon, October 8th, and it was raining hard here where I sit on Jaws Road at Township Hall. And I started getting emails and phone calls, and pictures were coming through my phone and my computer here of just like, it looked like a different world. And literally I got in my car and drove a half mile east of where I'm sitting toward Lapeer Road, which is our main thoroughfare. And it was really like a different world. I mean, we had neighborhoods that had literally 6 feet of water in parts of them. And I, after, looking at it after the fact, I mean, I kind of joke, it's not very funny, obviously, but first of all, the good news is we had 0 injuries reported as a result of the flooding. So that's the great news, but unfortunately, a lot of property damage. But it's almost like we had the Eeyore cloud. We had this little rain cell that just kind of hung out for a couple hours over this roughly 10 square mile area, mostly Orion Township, the little north piece of Auburn Hills. And as you mentioned, dropped, 6 to 8 inches of rain. And, there's no storm system in the world that's capable of handling that much volume of rain in that amount of time. So, current standards are, designing neighborhoods and commercial developments for like back-to-back 100-year rain events. I'm not an engineer, but I've learned a lot about this over the last few years and especially last week. And so, a back-to-back, it's supposed to mean a rain event like that's supposed to happen once every 100 years. Well, the rain event that we had, if we got 5.5 inches in 2 hours, that's a 1,000-year interval event. You're supposed to get one of those every 1,000 years. And if we got more than 5.5 inches, if we indeed get 6 or 8 inches, engineers have no probability for that. So it's like almost like a biblical type event. And that's what we had. And so we had neighborhoods that never have had standing water, that have never had issues, again, having 4 and 6 feet of water. The system was just absolutely overwhelmed.
We're joined by Chris Barnett. He is the Township Supervisor of Orion Township. Joining us on the Megacast again, he issued a state of emergency in Orion Township following the recent rainstorms that had resulted in about 6 to 8 inches of rain in about an hour's time that caused a massive amount of flooding in Orion Township. And so, Supervisor, when you declare a state of emergency, just for reference, because we hear this term all the time for a number of different reasons. Certainly, we heard it a lot during the COVID-19 pandemic and continue to hear it. But in these cases, when a township, when a city, when any municipality declares a state of emergency, how does that ultimately benefit the residents, especially those who are affected by these situations?
Yeah, it's a great question. And again, we were like most communities in Michigan, at least, did declare a state of emergency during the pandemic. And it opened up resources for us, and it also opened up the availability for us to meet remote, things like that. But in this case specifically, we're waving a white, a good example is like we're waving a white flag saying we need help, we give up, we don't have the resources to handle this on our own. And so when we declare a state of emergency, and when I did that on Monday last week, it was to call in the resources of the state, Oakland County and the state, and ultimately potentially the federal government. And so initially the state and the county's been phenomenal working with us. There's been a couple state of emergencies recently in the county. A month or so ago, there was a tornado in White Lake. I'm friends with the White Lake supervisor, so I conferred with him a little bit on what we were doing here. But we have a ton of property damage. We had our building department team along with Oakland County officials going door to door in these neighborhoods that were hardest hit, trying to do a damage assessment. And the most unfortunate thing about all of this is the good news is that no one was hurt. The terrible news is that we have millions of dollars in property damage, and the majority of that our residents are finding out is not covered by their insurance. So we have vehicles that are inoperable. We have many homes that are either completely devastated or have hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage, and insurance companies don't cover because most of our residents don't have that flood insurance. Most people listening or watching the Megacast don't have that flood insurance rider on your coverage, because if it's not something you're required to do, most of us don't do that. I just checked mine, I don't have it. And so these residents have these major mitigations happening where they're trying to get the water out of their homes and all the drywall's been removed. And then they get the phone call from their adjuster saying, unfortunately, this is an uncovered event. So the state of emergency, the state of Michigan has already sort of agreed that, we're in a situation where we need assistance, and they can help us fix the public drains and things that were damaged. We have many sinkholes that happen, and a sinkhole means that something failed in the storm water system. But the state dollars aren't available to individual private residences. So in order to get help to our residents, we need the federal government to agree and also declare a state of emergency, FEMA, and then ultimately President Biden would have to sign a declaration that would open up resources for residents. Until then, our residents are really on their own trying to fix their properties that were damaged. And for some of these homeowners, it's a financially crippling event.
We're joined by Chris Barnett. He is the Orion Township Supervisor with us on the Megacast. Orion Township, of course, declaring a state of emergency as a result of a recent 100-year rainstorm that occurred just about 2 weeks ago, where about 6 to 8 inches had fallen in the township proper in about 1 hour, causing a significant amount of flooding. A state of emergency, as I said, has been declared. The state of Michigan and Oakland County already have been partially addressed that with the Orion Township Supervisor and the township offices. They're awaiting federal assistance as well. So at this time, Supervisor, just for reference for people outside of the township or for people that are watching outside of the state that maybe don't understand what's going on in Orion Township and what these residents are facing, what are some of those additional assistances that are still needed at this time that haven't already been provided by the state or by the county for residents?
Yeah, so we, first we opened up an email address, flooding@oriontownship.org, flooding@oriontownship.org, for residents that specifically live within the township, for them to send us their address and pictures so we can get them in the system. We don't want more damage, but we know we want to be able to assess all the damage that has happened. The more that we know about that exists, the more likely of the chances of us getting federal assistance for our residents. And again, that's the only way we can give them financial support. But right now, I mean, the biggest concerns are, houses that are, there have been structural damage to some houses, but it's a lot of it is, just houses filled with water. We want to make sure that the water is mitigated properly so that we don't have mold issues and things like that in these homes. We have roads that have been washed out. We have sinkholes that need to be repaired. We still have one of our lakes that has no outlet, that is still partially flooding over one of our main thoroughfares. So it's a lot of safety concerns right now is the main issue. And we want to make sure that people are not afraid to ask for help, where we're being very upfront with our residents saying we can't give you financial assistance, but we're working really hard in my office to do everything in my power and our team's power to ultimately, hopefully, be able to get some financial assistance to our residents that need it most.
We're joined by Chris Barnett. He is the Township Supervisor of Orion Township with us on the Megacast. And Supervisor, in some more positive news, recently Governor Whitmer visited the township and joined American Battery Solutions, which is a manufacturer that held their ribbon-cutting ceremony for a new lithium-ion battery factory, a manufacturing facility that will be in Lake Orion. It will, of course, provide some potential employment opportunities as well for those in Orion Township. It's expected about more than 100 jobs will be brought to the local area from that plant. How exciting is it to have American Battery Solutions come into the local area, especially given that they are working on systems that are going to be critical to the future of our manufacturing, including our vehicles here in Metro Detroit?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really cool story. The company started just a couple years ago with 12 people. I kind of call them the Ocean's 12 of the battery world. It's kind of a group of experts that have all kind of worked together and competed against each other over the years. They kind of all came together to start this company. And as of yesterday, they have 155 employees here and growing very quickly. I mean, lithium-ion batteries, they're building batteries to replace the old lead-acid batteries in vehicles, and ultimately everything from golf carts all the way up to buses. And we know that's the future of vehicle travel in America, at least. And right here in our own community, we have the General Motors plant, Orion plant, that's building all electric vehicles as we speak. Autonomous vehicles are rolling off the line. So we're excited about their investment, and obviously we're excited when the governor comes to visit and, shine the light a little bit on our community. And then it was really neat after she came and helped cut the ribbon at ABS. She joined. I've been the president of the Oakland County Township Supervisors Association for about the last 5 years. And we have lunch once a month, the 21 township supervisors that make up all the townships in the county. And she accepted my invitation to join us for lunch. So we hosted a lunch with the governor as well, where, the rest of the elected township supervisors and myself were able to have a really cool offline, no media conversation with the governor, talk to her about what's, some of the issues in our community and what support we need from the state and what we can do to help in Lansing as well. So it was an exciting day yesterday, kind of bittersweet because we're kind of coming out of the and still hearing about heartbreak from many residents from the flood event of the 8th. But it's nice when the governor comes to visit. I'll tell you that no matter what political party, you have to respect and appreciate when the governor comes to town.
And for reference, American Battery Solutions currently has 115 employees in the state of Michigan. They're expecting to double their workforce as a result of the new facility in Lake Orion by 2023. We're joined by Township Supervisor Barnett from Orion Township with us on the Megacast. And again, for reference, if you have experienced damage due to the flooding incidents in Orion Township and need some help under their state of emergency declaration, residents who have experienced these damages are encouraged to email details and provide any pictures and videos that they can to the township's special email for these incidents, flooding@oriontownship.org. Again, that is flooding@oriontownship.org. Supervisor, just another few minutes with you today before we'll say goodbye. Anything else at this moment in time that would be important for residents of Orion Township to know, or anything interesting for those that may be visiting Orion Township very soon that they should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, before the flooding event, we were on a roll, and we really still are. If you're not familiar with where we're at, we're in northern Oakland County, and our motto is we're living as a vacation. The good news is we have 42 lakes in our 36 square miles. Sometimes when we get a lot of rain, that's also the bad news. We have a lot of water. So there's a lot of great family-friendly events happening, and we have an amazing school district, and it's a great place. It's a great place to call home outside of the random events that we have going on, and we really are. Our largest employer in the township is General Motors in the Orion plant, and we're excited to see those ancillary businesses like ABS, playing their roots here right in our community. We put a big focus on economic development and making sure that our residents have places to work, but also have places to spend their money. So we're grateful to be here today and appreciate you helping us get the word out to our residents that are affected by this. And I know I haven't been individually sharing GoFundMe pages because it's just too much to do, but I know there's a handful of those that have already sprung up for people that have learned they have no insurance for the flooding events. So if you're empathetic or you're interested in helping some of our residents, we would be extremely grateful as well. I know you guys have quite a following. So as always, it's always great to be on and chat with you, and hopefully usually talk about good news. Unfortunately today it's a little bit of both, but appreciate what you guys do, and thanks for having me on.
And thanks for coming on and telling us more about this, so that those that may not be familiar with some of the actions that they can take in Orion Township, if they have been victims of this flooding, that they can take action and maybe get some of that help that they need. We appreciate it, Supervisor.
Thank you. Have an awesome afternoon.
You as well. You can learn more information about Orion Township and everything going on there by going to oriontownship.org. And again, if you have experienced flooding with the recent storm event, the township is asking you to email details and include as many pictures and videos as you can, and send an email with details of your specific damage to flooding@oriontownship.org. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we'll kick off the second hour by going over to West Bloomfield High School. We'll be speaking with Kristine Stevens, as well as student cast members of Radium Girls at West Bloomfield High School. That is coming up next. You're watching the Megacast on a number of different television stations throughout Oakland County, and listening on your radio homes for the Megacast, 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. The Megacast will return after this.
A message from the staff of Michigan's Crime Victim Compensation Program.
Anyone can be a victim of crime
and suffer lasting trauma, physically, emotionally, and financially.
But you are not alone.
If you're struggling financially due to a crime,
we're here
for you.
Find out if you qualify for crime victim compensation.
Call 877-251-7373 or visit michigan.gov/crime victim.
A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Victim Services.
You see certain things get reincarnated in your children. My daughter is very much inspired by my wife's artistic pursuits. So my daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day, that your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops. My dad wasn't around, and I remember riding a bike and falling off and cutting myself, and me never just wanting to get back on it. People ask, how your children learn how to ride a bike, and you didn't. I didn't teach them. I just created an environment where they taught themselves, and all I had to do was be there.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council.
As partners, working together to protect our water resources, we agree.
Pet waste is a source of harmful bacteria in the Huron River.
When it's left on the ground, it can wash into the storm drains.
These lead directly to our streams. No filters, no treatment.
Here's one thing we know that can help keep our water clean.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
So pick up pet waste and trash it.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Who is struggling right now?
I am.
My son is.
Many are struggling with anxiety, depression, and substance use. Before it becomes a crisis, reach out to MyCal, the Michigan Crisis and Access Line for free confidential support 24/7. Available in the Upper Peninsula and Oakland County. Just call or text 1-844-44-MyCal. or chat online at michigan.gov/mycal. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
I couldn't breathe at all. There was lots of talk about putting me on a ventilator. I thought I was gonna die. I was 39 weeks pregnant and had a scheduled C-section. During that time, I got COVID and was hospitalized for a month. I had a blood clot in my lungs. It caused me to go into right-sided heart failure. I was really scared. I kept texting my husband and my mom, telling them how scared I was, and I was worried that he was gonna grow up without a mom. And then I was worried if, when I did get home, that he wouldn't know who I was. You know, being 27 and a mom and a wife and having that all almost taken away from me. It's scary, and if a vaccine can prevent that from happening, why not? Get your vaccine. I don't want this to happen to anybody else.
Motorcyclists are hard to see. To keep everyone safer, it's important to always look for them and know where most crashes occur. 84% of motorcycle and vehicle crashes happen on streets, not highways. And most crashes with motorcyclists occur when vehicle drivers are turning left. So before turning, especially to the left, make sure you look for motorcyclists. Then look again. It could save a life.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keith alongside Calvin Brown in our studios in West Bloomfield Township, where we broadcast live from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, Monday through Friday, each and every day here on Civic Center TV and a number of other television and radio stations throughout Oakland County and all across the state of Michigan on CivicCenterTV.com and on My Michigan TV as well. Beginning November 11th and going the 11th, the 12th, and the 13th, at 7 p.m., West Bloomfield High School will be presenting Radium Girls on the stage, and we're pleased to be joined now by Kristine Stevens, the drama director at West Bloomfield High School, as well as Ife Martin, Shoshana Sprecher, and Bryce Hairston, who are members of the cast of Radium Girls at West Bloomfield High School. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having us and giving us this opportunity.
Appreciate having you on. So, Kristine, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about Radium Girls. What is this show all about, and what can people be expecting to see when they go and see this November 11th through the 13th at the high school?
Yes. So, Radium Girls is a modern play written by a female playwright named D.W. Gregory, and it is a play based on true events that happened in the 1920s. Women were going to work to paint clocks and watches out of radium. And at the time, radium was thought to be like a life-changing kind of tonic and something that could possibly cure cancer. And it was not known to be the poison, deadly element that it is now. And so the women were painting with it and putting the brushes in their mouths. It was called lip pointing. And they were slowly being poisoned to death. And the company denied it. And several lawyers and several female activists during the time came together and helped these women fight back against the company who was denying that they had done any wrong here, even though they knew that radium was poisonous toward kind of the end of that court case. So it's a heart-wrenching drama, but it will also make you laugh. It'll make you question and think about science and media and doing the right thing and how to know when to do the right thing. The cast is absolutely incredible. The tech crew is beyond amazing. We're going to have a large wooden clock and beautiful platforms in which the students are kind of playing in an abstract presentation of these dramatic events versus more of a realistic showing of it.
We're joined by Kristine Stevens, the drama director at West Bloomfield High School, as well as members of the student cast of Radium Girls at the high school as well, Ife Martin, as well as Shush Sprecher and Bryce Hairston, joining us on the Megacast. And so students, for any of you that would like to answer this, coming back to the stage itself, you're going to be performing in front of a live audience often during the pandemic. There were performances at all. They were either over Zoom or they weren't being done. How excited are you to get back on the stage, and especially in an ensemble cast of this size with 31 people on the cast and 40 students additionally working behind the scenes?
Anybody want to answer that? Sure. I'll take up to answer that. Considering this is my first year back in a couple years from doing theater, it's going to be amazing. The cast is so lovable. The cast is so kind. They're amazing. Everyone is so talented. I don't know how to describe it. Like, it's a process I've never been a part of. And I'm glad I am, because I know when this play comes out, it's going to be amazing. I love these guys. We love each other, Everything is come together, and especially on such a huge stage to perform in front of all these people, it's going to be amazing. That's all I know. So that's my experience.
And Shauna, what about you?
I am so excited to finally get back on stage. Especially I'm also in choir, and just there's no performance. There's no way to connect with the audience on Zoom and having these virtual concerts. So I feel like finally being able to perform in front of people and get that response, it'll be so rewarding. It'll be like, oh, my acting and my performance is worth something more than just being on a virtual call. It'll be like in front of my family and friends, and it's more meaningful that way in my experience.
And Ife?
Yeah, I definitely resonate with everybody else. I'm super excited. Like Bryce, this is my first performance with West Bloomfield's theater. I've been working behind the scenes for the past couple of years, so this is my first time I'm in the cast and I get to perform with all my friends. So I finally get to use our beautiful large stage, and I get to perform on it now, which I'm really excited about. But yes, it's going to be amazing because we all fall in love with theater because of the relationship you have with an audience. Otherwise, we would all just fall in love with film and television. So there's just an aspect of theater that we can't fully grasp unless we're on stage, and that's what we finally get to do again.
We're joined by Kristine Stevens, the drama director at West Bloomfield High School, as well as cast members Ife Martin, Shush Sprecher, and Bryce Hairston. From Radium Girls at West Bloomfield High School, they will be performing that on the stage November 11th, 12th, and 13th at 7 p.m. Tickets are on sale now for $15 at showtix4u.com. That is show, T-I-X, the number 4, and the letter U.com. And so, Kristine, why ultimately the choice to do Radium Girls for this performance? It's got a lot of parallels to our current world in that it has elements of social justice, it has elements of health and of learning about the ultimate effects of certain things on our health. What ultimately went into the decision to go with this play? Because on one hand, you want to provide a great opportunity for students to learn their performance and to improve their performance skills, but you also want this to be a learning opportunity for them as well.
Yes. So I went to some of the senior leadership last year when I was picking the season for the high school, and I asked what they were interested in doing, and they said they wanted to do something meaningful and dramatic. They wanted to push themselves, and they wanted to make an impact on the audience. And so after reading dozens upon dozens of plays, I settled on the beautiful script of Radium Girls. It's eloquent, it's timeless, it's beautiful, it's chilling, and it provides this incredible character depth for the actors, and it's a very good challenge for them, and they are bringing out these acting skills and techniques that they haven't used in a couple of years, so it's really fun for them. And then at the same time, I think it's going to be something where this is the reason why we do theater, is because it has to be in person. And so the impact that the messages in this play will give to an audience who's in that building watching the production, I think it will change them and make them think and question. And that's, I think, the purpose of theater.
We're joined by Kristine Stevens, the drama director at West Bloomfield High School, as well as student cast members of Radium Girls, which will be performed November 11th, 12th, and 13th at West Bloomfield High School. All of those shows at 7 o'clock p.m. And so let's go back through the students. We'll start with you, Ife. What have you learned from being involved in this production, both as an actor, but also the lessons that you've learned from the story itself as you've performed Radium Girls?
Well, I learned a lot. I didn't know much about, well, not even much. I didn't know anything about the Radium Girls or the whole process of using radium during like the war and everything. So this has been just like a fully immersive experience, because I'm starting from step one and I'm just learning. And now I'm able to bring all of this knowledge into my day-to-day. And now I know things I didn't know before.
And then Shoshana, you.
I really feel like I've grown as an actor through this process, especially because of Ms. Stevens. I feel comfortable in this department and in the story. And like Ife said, it's such an amazing story that you never would have really looked at if you weren't presented with this show. I never would have known that there was this abuse of radium in the 1920s if I didn't, hear this story and get to perform it and see these characters develop. And through the character that I play, it also helps me grow as a person and really feel like these are the things you have to keep in mind. You have to make sure that you're independent and that you're, not silencing yourself. So it also shows a lot of personal growth as well as growth as an actor.
And then you, Bryce.
Yeah, much like Ife, I haven't been a part of much lately. This is my first show in a while, as I said before, and I've learned so much within the span of the last 3 to 4 weeks. And it's really been crazy for me. It's been a wild ride. I've been taken along by my amazing teacher, our amazing director. Thank you. I learned a lot. I learned, oh my gosh, I've learned to love one another. I've learned to love my castmates, my crew, everyone a part of and involved in the situation. I've learned to cherish them. And most importantly, I learned from the play to cherish those you love before they're gone. You never know when the last time you see someone, so treat them like it's their last day on earth. That's always what I say. So.
And then Kristine, for you, as you've been directing this show, it is back on the stage. It is back being, as much as it can be in our current state of things, a normal production and a normal process of that production. There are a lot of lessons that were learned over the thick of the pandemic, and we're still learning more lessons as we continue through it. But how has that changed either your approach to directing a show or the way that the theater program is ran at West Bloomfield High School, based on what you've learned from directing performances and operating performing arts in some way, shape, or form over the course of the pandemic?
Yeah, what a great question. It's funny you should ask me that, because I am constantly thinking and reflecting because I want to go back to pre-COVID way of directing and teaching. And I sometimes get upset that that can't fully be realized again. The biggest, there's been two large challenges. One is directing while the students are in masks. So that they definitely default, as a lot of actors do, to expressing themselves with facial expressions. And instead, we have to learn how to use our bodies in different ways. How can you express that through your whole physical body and not just your face? Because it's not coming across to an audience the way that it needs to. And then the second challenge is just, and this is to me just really an unbelievable learning experience for me, is that students kind of lost the ability to balance this schedule of school and acting and contacting teachers when they need to and planning ahead and being absent and things like that. So just like I have to be tough and stern, but I also have to have an unbelievable amount of compassion and patience because students are still coming out of this or still in it. And I just want to forget it myself, but I can't. I have to be there for them and move a show forward at the same time.
We're joined by Kristine Stevens, as well as 3 student actors from West Bloomfield High School's production of Radium Girls. You can see that November 11th, 12th, and 13th at 7 p.m. at West Bloomfield High School on Orchard Lake Road in West Bloomfield Township. Purchase tickets for $15. They are on sale now at show, TIX, the number 4 and the letter U, or showtix4u.com. Kristine, students, we appreciate you coming on today and giving us a little preview of this performance coming up in November.
Thank you so much for having us. You're amazing, and we really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you.
Appreciate it as well. Again, you can get those tickets, showtix4u.com. We've been joined by Kristine Stevens, the drama director at West Bloomfield High School, as well as student cast members from Radium Girls, Ife Martin, Shosh Sprecher, and Bryce Hairston on the Megacast. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we'll be joined by a couple of guests to talk about one of the more common forms of a brain tumor. In this case, it is glioblastoma. We'll be joined by Eric Goldstein, who's been with us previously on the show, as well as his doctor, Dr. Tobias Walbert, next on the Megacast.
To Sophia and Gabriel, even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
Can I ask you a question? Why did you get your kids vaccinated?
It was hard for them to social distance, to be isolated from their friends.
I want them to get back to school and sports games. So as a pediatrician, I recommend the vaccine to everyone I know.
The boys lost a former teammate and classmate who was only 20 years old. It's been a devastating year.
We want to get back to normalcy. Our daughter is really looking forward to being with her friends, being a kid.
It's the Great Lakes water. And so what people do ends up in our waterways.
Flushable wipes are just evil. They should be thrown away. They're impossible to destroy, and they can cause significant problems.
One of the main things when you're cooking is to not dump fats, oils, and greases down your drains.
They stick to the sides of pipes, they stick to everything they come in contact with. Don't put it down the sink.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
We recently had an interview with a man named Eric Goldstein, who created a one-man show on YouTube called Here We Go. And for context, in early 2020, Eric Goldstein saw his doctor about a routine vision problem and walked away with a diagnosis that would change his life when he was diagnosed with glioblastoma, a brain tumor. And we're joined by one of his doctors, Dr. Tobias Walbert. He is from the neuro-oncology department at Henry Ford Health System, and he is a brain tumor specialist. Joining us now on the Megacast, Dr. Walbert, thanks for being with us today.
My pleasure. Hello.
Thank you for being with us. We appreciate it. So tell us a little bit about glioblastoma and what makes it such a challenging form of cancer for doctors to treat.
Yeah, so glioblastoma is the most common brain tumor. And by that, this is like that originates in the brain. So there are many other, like what we call metastases from other cancers going to the brain. But glioblastoma is the number one that originates in the brain. And it basically evolves from some cells that we all have, that we all need. And something goes wrong with their inflammation and they start growing, which they shouldn't. And all of a sudden you have 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, and you have a tumor growing there. And so what sets brain tumors and a little bit apart, these gliomas, is that they're in the brain. And the brain is a very, I'm joking, is a very boring organ. Or who likes it to be boring and wants it all to be stable. So it's like hidden behind what we call the blood-brain barrier that makes sure that no poison, nothing that shouldn't be there is getting to the brain. But that makes it very difficult to treat as well. The brain has its own immune system. That means it's very difficult for the immune system to detect these cells that shouldn't be there and to destroy them. And the other challenges is there are a lot of parts of the brain that are really, really important and make us who we are. And so you cannot just take out things and have no consequences. So put all of that together, it makes it very challenging, but as well as rewarding. That's what we do.
We're joined by Dr. Tobias Walbert. He is from the neuro-oncology department at Henry Ford Health System. He is a brain tumor specialist, joining us talking about glioblastoma. And Dr. Walbert, you said that this is a highly common form of a brain tumor. It has its origins in some inflammation in the brain. Are there certain risk factors that are out there that make it so common, or are there risk factors that people should be aware of, or maybe trying to actively avoid if possible, that may put them at risk for developing a glioblastoma?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and that comes a lot of times because, of course, people want to make sure and want to know what might have caused it. But there's some very rare forms of genetic underpinnings, and by that I mean hereditary forms. It is very, very rare. And we do not have a good understanding what is causing it. So I always tell people we don't know what if you did anything the wrong way or should have done the other way. Like for example, like a common question is about cell phone use. Yeah, but no, we do not have any good data about that. There are some other tumors called meningiomas where actually radiation is a risk factor, but not for the glioblastomas. So no, there is no specific testing, and to the relief of many of our patients, there is nothing that we are aware of that their children or other family members have to be on higher alert, and there is no specific gene we are testing for that could be inherited to other family members. So we don't know what is happening, but Yeah, it's just like basically there are so-called like tumor suppressor genes. It's basically, these are genes that everyone has and needs that basically tell cells to stop growing, and something happens like in an evolutionary process that switches one off, and all of a sudden the cell starts growing, and there we go.
So Dr. Walbert, you mentioned some of the risk factors that may lead to a glioblastoma. Are there certain demographics of our population, either by age, either by sex or gender, or by lifestyle, that are more at risk for developing these?
Again, like risk, we see two peaks. We see one in the younger, like in the 20s, 30s, and that is certainly is a different genetic underpinning. And then the most patients are somewhere between 60 and 80. That is like the second peak. Yeah. And you see that like even on the bigger scale represented, there's like people that are, well, might be known to your viewers that had a glioblastoma, were like John McCain, Ted Kennedy, the former senator from Massachusetts, and then on the younger end, Beau Biden, President Biden's son. Yeah.
We're joined by Dr. Tobias Walbert. He is from the Neuro-Oncology Department at Henry Ford Health System, and he is a brain tumor specialist. We previously had one of his patients on, Eric Goldstein, who saw his doctor in early 2020 because he had some vision problems, and then was diagnosed with glioblastoma, and that inspired him to create a YouTube one-man show called Here We Go. And so before we bring Eric in, because we do have him on the show as well, Dr. Walbert, when did you first meet Eric Goldstein?
Wow, this is a good question. It's probably a better one to ask Eric, because he will remember that much more. Like I do remember, and what is really interesting is it's like this all happened during COVID. So it actually took like quite a while, and until I met Eric in person. It's like just recently. Before that, like we had this virtual medicine, telemedicine relationship, and as he's quite tech savvy, and it worked out very well. And but the first encounter, we have to ask Eric.
And so Eric is with us on the show as well. Eric Goldstein, who has been previously with us, and his show, Here We Go. So Eric, tell us a little bit about that experience. We talked a little bit about it the last time you were on the show, but give us a little bit more insight on how you were going through this process and what it was like going through this process of treating your glioblastoma, of going through the diagnosis process and learning more about this brain tumor with the help of Dr. Walbert and others on your team of doctors. What was it like going through that during the pandemic and not being able to meet your doctors in a more traditional way and an in-person way and have that more typical interaction with them when you're going through something as traumatic as finding out you have a brain tumor?
Well, understand that the means of discovering the brain tumor was through an MRI, and that was in person.
Yeah,
you can't do that remotely. But then all the communications about the MRI findings and what we needed to do about it, that was all remote via phone and so forth, and using Henry Ford Health System's MyChart system. The surgery couldn't be done at Henry Ford because they had no capacity to do it because of COVID care. This was in April of 2020. But as they say, they knew a guy over in Grand Rapids that wasn't swamped with COVID yet, and arrangements were made to get me over there urgently. And the surgery was done there, and we had a very smooth transition of care back to Henry Ford when the surgery was done. And I remember being on the couch in the post-surgical recovery phase, and I got a phone call or a Zoom meeting. I forget exactly how it was set up with Dr. Walbert. I'm a mess. You know, I've just come back from the hospital. My hair is in all these weird places from the surgical procedure. I'm literally a mess. And he is going, "Hello, Eric. You look so good today. How are you doing?" I'm Dr. Walbert. And we had a lovely conversation, and he said, oh, no, I'm used to seeing you and people like you. You're fine. Dr. Walbert has instilled such great confidence from the very beginning. I did not feel deprived of care because we were doing it remotely. He's an excellent communicator, answered all the questions, was very patient with us, because you might imagine we had lots of questions, and he absorbed them all over time and answered them the best as he could, and was very helpful to us. So I would say I liked not having to spend all the time driving and parking and trying to get. That was at a time when I couldn't really even walk. I could only shuffle, and for short distances. So I actually think we had a better experience because we could do it remotely.
And of course, Eric, we've talked previously about how your one-man show on YouTube, Here We Go, which premiered earlier this month. It premiered on October 2nd. It's still, of course, available on YouTube. For those of you that are interested, to search Eric Goldstein, Here We Go, and you'll be able to see his show on YouTube. And so, it's been almost 2 weeks now. It's been just a little under 2 weeks since that has been released. Have you gotten any response so far on the program from people that have viewed it, from those that have maybe shared it themselves? Any response so far 2 weeks in after releasing it?
I've been contacted by other glioblastoma families and advised that that show gave them the vocabulary that they lacked, that they wanted to talk about things, complicated and difficult things, but they couldn't find ways to talk about it. And this show gave them the tools to do that. I've also been contacted by people not afflicted by glioblastoma and been told that our story of love and hope and looking the situation in the eye has been very helpful for them as they struggle with the burdens and complications that they have in their lives. It's been very gratifying to see that we've been able to offer some support and help to others.
Of course, Eric Goldstein's show, Here We Go, is available on YouTube. It premiered on October 2nd. It is still available, of course, on YouTube by searching Eric Goldstein, Here We Go, and you'll be able to see that entire show that has been providing a whole lot of optimism to glioblastoma families, as well as Eric just said, to those that aren't afflicted with glioblastoma or are dealing with someone in their life, a loved one, a family member, a friend, or anybody else that has glioblastoma. It's just been something inspirational about it that has changed their perspective on life. So there's a lot of optimism that's come from that. So Eric, thank you very much. Going back to Dr. Walbert, Dr. Tobias Walbert from the Neuro-Oncology Department at Henry Ford Health System. He's a brain tumor specialist. What are the latest advancements in the treatment of brain tumors such as glioblastoma, as opposed to several years ago or decades ago, that maybe hopefully can provide more optimism or more quality of life at the very least to those patients who do experience a glioblastoma?
Yeah, one of the big things we do at Henry Ford is a lot of research. Like, we're trying to offer every patient the opportunity to participate in a clinical trial or in a study, helping to further discover what's next and what we can do. I'm very optimistic about the future. Like, the recent years has been really more focused on discovering the underpinnings, the molecular mechanisms, why do some tumors grow and come back while others do not. And based on that, we are developing new trials that are really targeting these molecular mechanisms. So we realize that that there's no one fix for everyone. And so that's what we do with a lot of these new clinical trials. Other things, what we have been working on, and that came more into focus, is a new device. It's called Tumor Treating Fields. That is actually something that Eric is wearing. It's like it's like basically applies an electric field to where the brain tumor was that inhibits the cells from growing. It's like some big band-aids on it. And that has been shown to meaningfully increase survival. And while we are unfortunately still short of the silver bullet, there have been many advances as well in surgery, and that's the first big step. And so at Henry Ford, we have had the first intraoperative MRIs years ago, and then we established something called tumor paint. It's like a special dye or juice that patients drink before the surgery that makes the tumor more visible under the special microscope for the surgeons. And now a new phase that we are working on is like looking at how like a special radiation tile can be implanted when patients undergo surgery when a tumor is coming back. So we work on all different kinds of levels. One of my personal quests is about how we can improve care for patients in the palliative or end-of-life setting. How can we improve communications with families? How can we enable families and patients to have conversations that we all should be having about what do we want in life, what do we do not want. And that, I think, is like was very eye-opening to see Eric's piece. It's like because he's so point on, and to see what goes on in the mind of a patient. Yeah.
We're joined by we're joined by Dr. Tobias Walbert. He is a brain tumor specialist in the neuro-oncology department at Henry Ford Health System, as well as Eric Goldstein, who is a glioblastoma patient and is the producer of Here We Go, a YouTube one-man show about his experiences and the life lessons he's learned through his battle with glioblastoma. Dr. Walbert, Eric, thank you very much for being with us today.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it. And Dr. Walbert, just one last question before we say goodbye today. For those out there who are watching this who may be curious or want to be extra cautious because this is such a common form of a brain tumor, what should people be aware of as maybe some symptoms that they could be potentially afflicted with this form of a brain tumor? Or what can they do to assure themselves that they are properly protecting themselves from this danger, or at least getting out in front of it as soon as possible?
Yeah, of course. So the brain, I always say, it's like real estate. It's location, location, location. So it really depends on what part of your brain is afflicted, and that can cause. Many patients present first with the seizure. So yeah, if you have a seizure, you do end up in the emergency room, and that is quite common. Or if there is like a weakness on one side that is not going away, first thought, of course, is always stroke. And so you always want to be in the emergency room and call 911 as soon as possible when something like that happened, a sudden weakness, sudden speech, and then go from there. Sometimes, but not as often, headaches can be a sign, but that, again, it's not as common as people might think. I always tell my patients, remember, the brain does not feel pain, so there are no pain receptors in the brain itself. They are on the coverings of the brain. So it really depends. Any of these symptoms, you work with your primary care doctor, and you come in, and I know there has been a lot of reluctance, of course, like with the most recent COVID developments. But like, for example, at Henry Ford, we were one of the first health systems where everybody has to be vaccinated. So we create a safe environment for everyone to come in and to get the treatment that they need.
Well, Dr. Walbert, appreciate it, and same to you, Eric. Appreciate both of your time today to reopen this conversation we've had previously with Eric, but also inform the public about this common form of a brain tumor, what risk factors are out there for people to potentially develop it, some of the experiences in learning about this brain tumor and treating this brain tumor, as well as some optimism as well, with great research that's being done in many health systems, including Henry Ford, right here in our local area. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Neighborhood storm drains carry water directly to local creeks and streams. No filters, no treatment.
Storm drains also help reduce street flooding when it rains.
So clearing storm drains and the areas nearby of trash and leaves helps keep them for rain only.
It is easy to do your part by adopting a storm drain.
Find a storm drain, check it, and clear it every month.
So keep storm drains for rain only.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
We as Michiganders feel connected to this resource in a way that I think is really powerful.
Conservation starts with a caring, committed community.
For me, it's peaceful to have a relationship with the river.
Every single one of us has a role to make sure that those waterways stay safe and healthy, being careful about what goes down the storm drain.
Just even eliminating some of your single-use plastic makes a difference.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
People are getting out to walk and bike in higher numbers. More vulnerable road users and higher speed traffic can be a dangerous combination. Crash severity has increased, so if you're driving, be sure to slow down and look for people. There's no need to speed. If you're biking, ride with traffic. If you're walking, avoid stepping into the road if possible. If you have to walk in the street, walk facing traffic. Learn more at walkbikedrivesafe.org.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources, call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe alongside Calvin Brown, our studio producer and board operator here in our studios in West Bloomfield Township, where we broadcast live from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, Monday through Friday on the Megacast. You can learn more information about the Megacast as well as all the places that you can view the show and view all of our episodes and our interviews on demand at civiccentertv.com/Megacast. We're joined now by Bree Bettis. She is the founder of the Pink List, a 501c3 nonprofit organization providing resources to families affected by breast cancer. And she joins us now on the Megacast. Bree, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. Thank you guys for having me. This is a great way to start off my Tuesday.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about the Pink List. Of course, it provides resources to families affected by breast cancer. What are some of those resources and ways that your organization helps those families that are affected by breast cancer?
Yeah, so the Pink List was founded in 2018 after me just kind of watching people close to me face breast cancer, including my grandmother. She's a breast cancer survivor. And then I also had a very close friend whose mother unfortunately passed away from breast cancer. Before she passed away, we kind of started fundraising events just to help her pay for her medical expenses. I don't know if you know too much about breast cancer or just the bills and financial burden it can come with, but it takes a lot out of a lot of families to be able to pay for chemotherapy or just medicine in general. So we had a comedy show called Laugh for Charity, and that was like our first fundraising event, and all of the proceeds went to my friend's family, like I said, to help cover her mother's medical expenses. When she passed away, we thought to ourselves, like, okay, wait, what do we do now? Like, our whole focus was just helping this one family. And I said, well, you know what, if we could make that impact on that family while she was here, we could definitely help more families. So our first initiative is our cancer assistance program. So it kind of ranges between us providing financial assistance for cancer patients or breast cancer survivors for physical therapy or for housekeeping needs, or, you know, if they need a nurse to come visit them a couple of days out of the week. So helping them pay for those expenses. Our ultimate goal is to be able to partner with organizations and businesses that are already established to provide those services and, you know, say, hey, we have 3 free spots with this physical therapy location if you apply through our program. So that's one of our main initiatives. Another program or resource that we have, are chemotherapy care packages. We call them pink kits. That's probably the biggest initiative as far as like an ongoing thing. We send those out across the country. We've sent chemo care packages to cancer patients in Tennessee, in Nebraska, and Virginia. We are based in Detroit, Michigan, so majority of our care packages are sent out locally. Right now, we are committed to sending 50 of those pink kits to Carmano's Cancer Institute. So these care packages are just equipped with different things like pink fuzzy socks for chemo patients, because one of the biggest side effects with chemo is their feet are cold nonstop. Hands are cold, feet are cold. So putting socks in there, putting tea and queasy drops in there to help prevent the nausea, putting a head wrap in there to also just help them, especially with the winter approaching. So these kits are just kind of equipped to help ease those side effects, like I said, that come along with chemotherapy, radiation, or just surgery related to cancer. So those are our 2 big initiatives right now. And then we also just want to help kind of just bridge that gap between young adults and breast cancer education. I feel like breast cancer or cancer in general is often just associated with the older crowd. And people don't stop and realize, hey, you can be 16, you can be 20, you can be 30, you can look like me, you can look like you, you know, and you can have breast cancer. It happens in young women, it happens in men. So just furthering that conversation and making sure that, hey, we're aware, we're taking the necessary steps to help us lower our risk. And then unfortunately, if we are diagnosed with breast cancer, these are the things or the resources that can help ease that journey, whether it's a financial support, emotional support, mental support. So those are our main things, is serving as that breast cancer resource center, but also making sure like, hey, are we talking about it in that young adult community?
We're joined by Bree Bettis. She is the founder of the Pink List. Learn more information about this 501c3 nonprofit organization and all of their work by going to their website at thepinklist.org. And Bree, you have another fundraiser that is coming up. On October 20th on Wednesday. That's tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. At the Imagine Theater in Royal Oak. It'll be a private screening of Halloween Kills, which and all of these fundraisers will go to purchase supplies for the pink kits, as well as send those kits to the Carmano's Cancer Institute as well. A ticket's still available for people, and how many are available? Where can they get them?
Yep. So we do still have tickets available on our website, thepinklist.org. You can also go directly to eventbrite.com. If you go to our website, it'll kind of shoot you over to Eventbrite anyway when you check out. We do still have a handful of general admission tickets left, which are $20 right now. That ticket not only includes your entry, but it also provides you with a free small popcorn and a drink. And I believe the drinks are free refills. Who doesn't love a free refill? So we do have tickets left on our website. We will also be selling tickets at the door. Like you said, it starts at 7:30. Your doors open at 7:30. The screening will probably start at 7:45. We want people to have some time getting there and getting settled. We're also providing prepaid parking options for people for $3. You can just add that on when you check out to get the ticket. I think parking is available, but it kind of ranges on if you park at a meter, if you park in the lot. So if you kind of just want to avoid that, you can add that on as well.
And you can get tickets by going to apinkhalloween.eventbrite.com. That is apinkhalloween.eventbrite.com. eventbrite.com, or by following the links that you'll be prompted to at thepinklist.org. We're joined by Bree Bettis. She is the founder of the Pink List, with us today on the Megacast. And so the funds raised at the movie event tomorrow night at the Imagine Theater in Royal Oak at 7:30 will go toward purchasing supplies for the Pink Kits. If people are not able to attend this fundraiser, what are some other ways that they can help provide the supplies for these pink fun kits for the Pink Kit, or provide these kits themselves to these families in other ways?
Yeah, so if you aren't able to attend tomorrow, no problem. You can visit our website to either donate items off of our wish list. We have a wish list on Amazon, and our website will prompt you to that wish list. So you can either buy items directly from that wish list. We also have the list of items that go into those pink kits. So if you are, you're a business owner, and let's say you sell fuzzy socks, you can definitely donate that over to us as well. It doesn't have to come directly from that wish list. And then if you don't want to donate items, you can also donate money. We have a Cash App. It's the Pink List. We are also on PayPal, Zelle. You can also donate directly through our website. So those are ways to donate with the Pink Kits. And then we also have an upcoming voluntary event next month if you want to join us in packing the Pink Kits. And then if you're interested, if you're not local, or if you're not able to attend that and you kind of just want to do an event of your own, feel free to reach out to us at hello@thepinklist.org. And we can send you some supplies, or just tell you where to get those supplies. We can work something out, and you can help pack kits on your own time.
We're joined by Bree Bettis. She is the founder of the Pink List. Learn more information about her 501c3 nonprofit organization by visiting their website at thepinklist.org. And so, Bree, we talked a lot about what goes into making these kits and the donations that are needed to provide these kits. But if somebody themselves, or their family member, or loved one, someone in their life is dealing with breast cancer, or is going through chemotherapy and would like to receive, or would find it useful to receive, a Pink Kit, how can they go about receiving one of these? And in other ways, how do you go about distributing these Pink Kits to patients who are going through chemotherapy in our local area?
Yeah.
It appears that we have...
Great question. So as I'm sorry about that. So we have, like I mentioned earlier, we have a commitment with the Carmanos Cancer Institute. So that's just one way to go about getting a kit. If you are a patient at that institute, they kind of disperse that in their own way. We usually do prioritize breast cancer patients, but if you're a cancer patient in general and you reach out for a kit, we'll never deny you. Outside of that commitment with the Cancer Institute, if you just want a kit, or like to your point, you want to request a kit on someone's behalf, you can visit our website. We have a very simple form for you to fill out. It's just going to ask for that person's name, their mailing address, email address, contact information, just in case we need to reach out for anything. And then we will send out an email to you once you complete that form saying, hey, we got your request. We'll give you a timeline on when we plan on shipping that out. And then once we ship that kit out to you, we'll let you know, like, hey, we shipped the kit out. Here's your tracking information. And then once we confirm, just through like FedEx or USPS, that, hey, this kit was delivered, we'll reach back out to you again, just to confirm that you got it. So fill out that form. Like I said, we typically do prioritize breast cancer patients, but I will never say no if you need a kit. So just fill that form out. It's on our website, thepinklist.org. It's also in our Instagram, social media. Bio as well. If you just click on that link, Instagram is @_thepinklist.
It appears we're having some technical issues with Bree's feed to us. We're joined by Bree Bettis. She is the founder of the Pink List. You can learn more information about her 501c3 nonprofit organization at thepinklist.org. Again, they have a private screening coming up. It's a fundraising event, a private screening of Halloween Kills. That will be tomorrow night, Wednesday, October 20th at 7:30 p.m. at the Imagine Theater in Royal Oak. Tickets are being sold right now on eventbrite.com, and all the proceeds will be going toward providing these pink kits, each of which are valued or contain items that are valued at about a total of $30, and they are currently also undergoing an item donation drive for these pink kits. Their goal is to be able to send 50 of them to the Karmanos Cancer Institute, and each kit contains a number of different items. You can donate items and learn more about how to donate them by going to thepinklist.org. We do have Bree back with us here for another couple of minutes, and Bree, just a few more minutes with you today before we will say goodbye. Is there anything else that would be important for our audience to know at this time about the Pink Fund, about your fundraising and item donation raising for the pink kits, or any other efforts that are coming up in the future that our audience should know about?
So as far as like upcoming events with the Pink List, as we mentioned, tomorrow is our movie night private screening of Halloween Kills. So that's probably like our biggest fundraising event this month, but we do have like little events going around the Metro Detroit area. So if you aren't able to make tomorrow's event, we do have a fundraiser with Boston Market next Tuesday. From 5 to 8 p.m. in Detroit. So if you love Boston Market, looking for something to eat for dinner, you can always stop by. 20% of the proceeds during that time are going to be donated to the Pink List. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we do have a voluntary event coming up November 18th. If you're looking to get involved with the Pink List, learn more about us, and then also help us pack pink kits that will be sent out not only to patients at the Karmanos Cancer Institute, but people that are reaching out through that form that I mentioned earlier. Right now, I think outside of the 50 kits with the Karmanos Cancer Institute, we may have like 12 additional requests across the country. Like I said, some in Tennessee, Georgia, some in like California. So helping us pack those kits would be great. If you aren't in the Metro Detroit area, but you're looking to get involved, you can always, start off by donating. 2, you can always host a pink pack or a pink kit packing event yourself. And you can reach out to hello@thepinklist.org if you're looking to start your own fundraising events or how you can get further involved with the Pink List. Those are our upcoming events right now. For any upcoming events, resources, updates, community initiatives, please follow us on Instagram @_the Pink List, and then also make sure to follow us on Facebook as well, the Pink List. Just like I said, for any updates, any questions you may have, one of our biggest things too that we're working on is building up a guest blogger program, just to get more perspective and more voices from
It does appear that we've lost Bree's feed again, and she has frozen up once again. So we appreciate her time. We are coming to just about the end of today's edition of the Megacast. So again, if you want to learn more information about the Pink List and how you can help them with their fundraising efforts, with their providing of their pink kits to those particularly breast cancer patients, but anybody with cancer that's going through chemotherapy treatments, you can learn more by visiting their website at thepinklist.org and by sending an email to hello@thepinklist.org. Again, that is hello@thepinklist.org. That is going to do it for today's edition of the Megacast, with just about 2 minutes left in the program. I'd like to thank all of our guests today, including Bree Bettis, the founder of the Pink List, Dr. Tobias Walbert, a brain tumor expert from Henry Ford Health System, and one of his patients, Eric Goldstein, who is also the creator of the YouTube program about his experiences dealing with glioblastoma called Here We Go. Kristine Stevens, Ife Martin, Bryce Hairston, and Shoshana Sprecher from West Bloomfield High School's production of Radium Girls, Orion Township Supervisor Chris Barnett, and Macomb County Prosecutor Peter Lucido for joining us on today's edition of the show. If you missed any of those interviews or our full episode and you're just tuning in now with a minute and a half left in the program, go to our website later on this afternoon, civiccentertv.com/megacast. There, you'll be able to find all the information you need about everybody that broadcasts our show live and live to tape Monday through Friday, as well as links to our full episodes and each and every one of our interviews on demand, so you can watch our show anytime on your time and keep yourself informed. Also encourage you to go over to our website next door to that at civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, where you'll find important information on COVID-19 from resources at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, as well as the Oakland County Health Division. Big thank you to our entire crew for making this show happen today. Larry Nyland, our booking producer, and our Zoom producer, who makes sure all of our guests are booked for these different time slots on our shows, organizes our shows, gets them scheduled to be on the program, and then helps them get ready to be on our show. Make sure they look good, they sound good, and they're well connected to Zoom to be able to join us each and every day on the program. Big thank you as well to our studio producer and board operator to my right, Calvin Brown, over here, who's joined us each and every day as I become directionally challenged. We thank him for all of his work as well. Coming up on Civic Center TV, it's The Splash with Maddie Mushkin, and then on My Michigan TV, it is Steve Leto Live, and then on our case, the Megacast will return tomorrow morning live at 10 a.m.